In 300 BC, in the bustling city of Cyprus, there lived a wealthy merchant named Lucius. While journeying from Phoenicia to Piraeus, disaster struck, his ship sank, and with it, all his valuable cargo was lost to the sea. In that single moment, entirely beyond Lucius's or anyone else's control, his wealth vanished, and his fortune turned to dust. Imagine being Lucius. How would you cope if everything you had worked for throughout your life was wiped out by the sheer force of nature? How do you think you would react? Would you be angry, devastated, or perhaps feel betrayed by life itself? These are all common reactions, but Lucius reacted differently. His approach laid the foundation for a philosophy that has influenced countless generations. One minor shift in our perception can echo throughout our lives, making profound changes. The essence of Stoicism lies in acceptance and a sense of detachment. After exploring the works of Socrates and other great philosophers, Lucius not only embraced but taught the principles of Stoicism. He taught that while we may not control much of what happens to us, we do have the power to control how we respond to those events, and this is where our strength lies. Instead of lamenting over his sunken ship and lost goods, Lucius focused on maintaining his composure. He chose to stay calm and collected, despite the adverse circumstances. Today, many think of Stoics as people who remain unbreakable, individuals who steer clear of emotional extremes like rage or anxiety. However, the original concept of Stoicism was about much more than being unemotional. It was about viewing, interpreting, and understanding the world in a particular way. It was a philosophy of life, one that has endured the test of time. Stoicism remains just as relevant today as it was in ancient times, offering profound insights into how to handle life's inevitable challenges. The philosophy teaches us to convert our negative emotions into reflections that enrich our understanding of the world. Perspective is everything, and since each of us comes from different backgrounds, our viewpoints are equally unique. The Stoics gathered in public spaces to discuss and teach philosophy, believing that Stoic wisdom was meant for everyone. They did not limit their teachings to the confines of exclusive academies or palaces. Consequently, anyone, from slaves to emperors, could learn and embrace Stoicism, and many did. Among the most renowned Stoics are Epictetus, whose name means acquired, as he was once a slave, Seneca, a famous statesman, and Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, one of the most powerful figures of his time. The early Stoics practiced what they preached, shunning segregation and striving against inequality. They even coined the term cosmopolitan, meaning a citizen of the world. Today, when we hear the word, we often think of cities like New York, Toronto, or Dubai, known for their diversity. This inclusivity and unity were core tenets of Stoic teachings. When Stoicism first emerged, women were often barred from studying philosophy. Yet, the Stoics disagreed. Musonius Rufus, who taught Epictetus, once said, "It is not only men who are inclined towards virtue, but women also. Women, no less than men, appreciate noble and just actions, and they too reject their opposites. Therefore, why should only men seek out how to live well and study philosophy, while women do not?" Because of this inclusive approach, women, even when it wasn't popular, were allowed to study and become Stoics. So why do so many people choose Stoicism as a guiding philosophy today? In a world full of unpredictability, our emotions often cloud our judgment. The truth is, we don't become upset just because bad things happen to us. It's the unexpected nature of those events that tends to shake us. Take rain, for example. It nourishes crops, hydrates livestock, and keeps the environment cool, but when it catches us off guard without an umbrella, it's a different story. However, we rarely cry over rain because we've come to expect it. We understand it's beyond our control, and it will eventually pass. Stoicism teaches us to expect adversity. If we anticipate that anything bad that can happen might happen, we become mentally prepared. One Stoic practice is voluntary discomfort, intended to foster gratitude. By sleeping on the floor, taking cold showers, or eating very simply, we remind ourselves that no matter how tough things become, we can endure it. By embracing discomfort, we prepare ourselves for unforeseen hardships. In today's consumerist society, with advertisements constantly pushing us to acquire more, this message is particularly important. We come into this world knowing nothing and grow by learning, at home, in school, and from the world around us. Often, these sources of knowledge provide conflicting lessons. But the question is, do we need to internalize everything we learn? Sometimes, doing so sets unrealistic expectations, ultimately leading to disappointment. Instead, Stoicism encourages us to focus on personal growth for its own sake, without attaching our happiness to external rewards or outcomes. People often try to fill emotional voids with material possessions, cars, houses, even starting a family, not necessarily for the value these things bring, but because they think they should. Stoicism teaches us that if we anchor our happiness in external factors, we become vulnerable, as these factors are beyond our control. A car can break down, a home can be destroyed, and relationships can end. Instead, true happiness should be rooted in our intrinsic worth, independent of any external acquisitions. Seneca once said, "Learning to live with less creates space for what truly matters." This is why Stoics encourage us to ground our sense of fulfillment in who we are, rather than what we own or achieve. We must strive to maintain a balanced perspective, understanding that while we cannot control most events, we do control our reactions. This fundamental principle is known as the dichotomy of control, a core idea in Stoicism. As Epictetus once put it, the chief task in life is simply this: to identify and distinguish matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control and which are matters of my choice. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, our choices, our actions, and to let go of the rest. Setting goals is important, but falling apart when things don't go as planned is not productive from a Stoic perspective. Think of creating a YouTube video. It may not be as tough as ruling an empire, but it still presents challenges. You come up with an idea, research, script, record, edit, create the thumbnail, and finally hit upload. Everything up to that point is under your control. But once it's uploaded, the outcome depends on external factors like algorithms. Many people measure their success by views or followers, things beyond their control. A Stoic approach would be to judge the success of your work by the effort you put in, not by how it's received. Embracing Stoicism means freeing yourself from the handcuffs that society imposes. Imagine someone striving for a promotion for months, only to be denied. He might assume he's not good enough, when the reality might be that someone else was simply better qualified, or the company couldn't afford a promotion at that time. A Stoic would understand that his value lies in his effort, not in an outcome influenced by uncontrollable circumstances. With the right mindset, a setback isn't the end, it's just a delay. Stoicism is about more than material success, it's about living a fulfilling life regardless of circumstances. There are four main virtues in Stoicism: wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice. Wisdom is understanding the distinction between what we can and cannot control and choosing our response. Courage is summarized in two words: persist and resist. Temperance is about moderation, doing more with less, much like the philosophy behind Stoicism itself. And justice, the most crucial virtue, is about treating others well, recognizing our interconnectedness as humans. One powerful example of Stoic influence is Nelson Mandela. After 27 years in prison, instead of seeking revenge, Mandela led his nation toward reconciliation. He drew upon the works of Marcus Aurelius, emphasizing that the past was beyond control, but the future could still be built positively. This is the essence of Stoicism. In modern psychology, Stoicism forms the foundation of practices like rational emotive behavioral therapy, REBT, and logotherapy. REBT helps us identify and challenge harmful thought patterns, while logotherapy is based on the Stoic belief that humans are driven by purpose, even in difficult situations. Both methods guide us towards a healthier mindset by reframing our beliefs and thoughts. To cultivate lasting happiness, Stoicism teaches us to build our self-worth internally, focusing on what we can control. This allows us to disengage from the pursuit of external validation, ultimately leading to a more content and meaningful life. Stoicism helps us navigate the storms of life, bringing us toward calmer, more peaceful waters. And if, in the end, the ship sinks, we can still take comfort knowing we lived well. Because, ultimately, everything must end.